Hello everyone, and welcome to my new tier 100 build charge bolts. If you want, can also check my previous videos, tier 100 chain lightning or ball lightning. In the near future, I will finish the Oculus Conjuration build too. Just need a bit more time to grind new gear. So to the bolts build, I have to say is hell of a fun, surprisingly, I will say, compared with the previous season. I did want to go for a build with the unique staff as I really like the mixed playstyle ranged and close combat. The staff itself needs a buff, my 2 cents, maybe in the chance to trigger. But anyway, for the fun of it, I stick using it. The build absolutely vanishes everything on map in tier 100, but to know it is slower on boss fights than ball or chain builds I made. Something like 30 seconds in tier 100 and less on uber bosses as they have less health. But except that, full dungeon runs are 4 minutes, and not kidding. It is one from the many builds I made that I felt close to the fun I always had with chain lightning. Don't ask me why, it just happened that even after I finished build, I did run 10 or more tier 100 for fun. Most likely because the visuals are so appealing when coupled with the Vampiric Powers and Chain Ball enchants trigger. An Eternal server might not enjoy it that much. I have made, as always, the build hold defensively any content, maxed resistances from Paragon at level 100 and glyphs leveled, armor capped for penalty in high tier, and all damage reductions in place. Critical chance close to 100%, movement speed capped 200% most of times. No mana issues once you get used to playstyle. Permanent vulnerable and great uptime of stuns. This time I focused bit more on crowd control damage, as we get 1 stagger in boss fights tier 100. So, I have a 6 glyph Paragon, 3 legendary nodes, Frigid Fate for free 22% multiplier as I stack non-physical buffs too, Static Surge for mana and Vulnerable and Enchantment Master again, don't sleep on it. This season it is strong, and the way to it is covered by nodes with all resistances. I will show next full gear, Vampiric Powers, Skill Tree and Paragon in parallel with many tier 100 runs, followed at the end by a full tier 100 dungeon run. Like said, I am going for the unique staff. It's just more fun filling screen with sparks with the increased duration. Yes, a one-hand plus off-hand can perform slightly better. I have tried some runs, but man, this season is too easy. I'm all in for fun. The DPS or utility loss ain't that big. Now, Esen again. Like said in my previous videos, game is too easy for flicker boots. Ain't nothing to push for with a good build. I've tried them a lot of runs by swapping to metamorph power. Ye is nice, but that's all. You are actually slower waste time dodge and lose ESU benefits. You don't need ultimate that much. Everything dies. I value Esen boots for crit chance and move speed. Sure, play flicker with metamorph if like the fantasy out of it. It fits in build with no other change need. In the planner I make you will find all recommended stats. I mostly have them all except 1 health ring roll and lucky hit chance on rings. Plus on amulet you might want swap a damage reduction to DPS affix. Is too much DR as I play Vire Key passive, but is my best amulet for now. You will see I do not play no mana sustain aspect. With Thibaut, Crackling Energy, and Static Surge legendary Paragon node, you can sustain mana once get used to playstyle. Sure, if it is first time play bolts, please use Prodigy or Recharging Aspect on 1 ring. Ditch it for DPS aspect when get used to playstyle. On both rings you want crit chance, maximum life, resource generation, and lucky hit chance. Additive damage is enough already, but sure, if don't get a roll with life and get DPS ain't tragic, build holds defenses top already. Same with lucky hit chance, can do instead any additive crit damage, vulnerable, lightning, etc. A must-have is crit chance and resource gen. Now to the Vampiric Powers, there is a flex on the 6 cost power if you want to go for metamorph and flicker boots. Going for power with reduced cooldown on ultimate is not mandatory, but is nice. Have a 45 seconds cooldown with 2 hand. so we burst boss. The rest are multipliers and the mandatory power for this season, the attack speed buff. Can flex on multiplier power for crowd control too, I just value it more than others. Next, the skill tree followed by Paragon and full run dungeon tier 100. The first 2 points are irrelevant, they just to unlock core skills. Going for chain lightning enchant, so pick the destruction passive to generate a lot of crackling for both mana sustain and to sustain glyph multiplier buff. I have actually tested a lot, the possibility to swap chain enchant with frozen orb enchant. The build can work that way with small adjustments towards chill, but mana felt better so than going for passive mana lucky hit on cold damage. You can experiment if like that way it works, is just for me was more comfortable and had better results with chain enchant. 1 point in ice armor, as we are very short on points this time. The synergies make points tight of choice, and if you go for Nova is a waste of time even cast it. Ice armor fill the gap you might have in barrier DPS buffs. As we play two-hand, the cooldowns are just a bit higher for protection passive to generate barrier permanent. Don't worry the protection barrier, it is almost permanent even with two-hand, as you can see in gameplay. Is just as a backup the ice armor, for just 1 skill point is worth. Mana shield like permanent damage reduction, and sure protection passive for huge uptime of barriers to keep DPS buffs up and damage reduction glyph. Lightning spear for constant stuns on map. And as you will see this time, I play also convulsions passive to help stagger boss in tier 100, as we generate big amount of crackling, going for invigorating conduit to permanent sustained mana gain. Ball lightning as our second enchant, I would not flex this. It helps a lot with boss burst this season. The cooldown on Unstable is 45 seconds as powers are not active in town where I show the skill tree. Can see in gameplay after activated. As we are short points, gived up on last passive on Unstable, and on Electrocution this time have only 2 points. Damage reduction is top even so. This to put 3 points in Convulsions too, helps with stagger. Playing Vire to favor boss damage a bit, anyway he should die before a second ultimate, so Overflow will pay off only on map. And on map, we snowball already. Plus more damage reduction close enemies. This way can free up Amulet Affix for DPS. To enchantments, I do use Enchantment Master. I value it a lot this season. And the Paragon way to it helps with all resistances too, is not a waste like before. Like said, Chain can be flex here with Frozen Orb enchant if you enjoy that enchant like in my previous season Chain Lightning build, will trigger crazy amount of times. Make few adjustments to chill and mana gain and build, will work almost same parameters. Bit lower DPs, but faster stagger on boss. Ball enchant helps a lot with boss burst, and as we invest lucky hit will trigger a lot of times. Now to the Paragon Board. Please follow order of boards for easier important rare node requirements. The board will provide maximum resistances at level 100 and glyph maxed, considering you also do have follow my build gear affix recommendation for intelligence to be 700 plus and also high power jewelry as they provide innate all resistances. I have to take this into account when make a build, to not overcap for no reason the resistances in Paragon. Would be a waste of points if you are in the leveling process or not with the right gear yet. Please adjust by gems or use potent warding passive till you get all set. In endgame, you do not need bother resistances on gear if follow my Paragon and can use armor gems. Like said, I do use Enchantment Master. I value it a lot this season, and the Paragon way to it helps with all resistances too, is not a waste like before. Fourth board Ceaseless Conduit. This time I do not go for its legendary node. It is a good choice if want to play Overflow key passive, But area damage is crazy already, and Paragon is tight on points choices. Fifth board. Frigid Fate, mainly to get the juicy legendary node. It is 22% multiplier permanent as buffed, non-physical on board. Do not bother to achieve other rare nodes requirements on this board. All about this board is to get legendary node and has also low cost to fit intelligence glyph. Now for sixth board, go back to Enchantment Master board and continue down the path to grab Searing Heat board for an easy dexterity glyph. I do want to play control here as boss gets a stagger and map extra damage is good too. But is a bit flex, can go other glyph too. Further on is one full tier 100 dungeon run. Thank you for watching and for support. Next week I will finish and post the Oculus Conjuration build, and sure after it will do fire and ice skills too. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I will try answer all if time allows me.